Well, I figured since the response was so dramatic and so many views on the last post, I'd really explain where I was coming from. The way that the modern medical grower grows and cultivates is totally different than the traditional means that we used, or the manner that we used. We tried to over-veg our plants or keep them in a vegetative state as long as we could to give them as much structure as we could. Now, quick explanation, the more cuttings you take on a plant, the more it creates lateral growth or the plant to stalk out. It also creates more terminal shoots. The terminal shoots is what eventually turns into colas, which ends up with clusters of beautiful rock-hard nuggets covering them. This is the way you get plants that yield 1.5, 2, 3 pounds per plant dry weight. What they're growing, they base their whole idea, it's actually on their ignorance, but they base their whole idea on marginal productivity. They try to get as many runs as they can in of small plants. They force plants that are only 3-4 weeks old past clone into early flower. Then they harvest the flower prematurely. Thus is the reason why you never get those giant nuggets that we produced in the past. I mean, man, we wouldn't even call stuff A-grade bud unless it was bigger than a quarter. I haven't seen consistent ounces the size of a quarter without no smalls in it since this medical menagerie started. Now, that being said, the flower we grew, because the way we grew it, had sufficient time to develop all the constituents of the plant and everything in proper proportions. The way they're doing is basically like taking a 12-year-old girl, getting her pregnant, and then forcing her to make as many babies as she can possibly make in the shortest period of time. What they're doing is based upon profitability and financial gain. What we were doing was based upon the holy sacrament that I myself has dedicated my life behind. Since I was 12 years old, I've grown this plant, and every day that I've grown it, I've considered it a great honor to have that privilege, that God gave me that right. Now, you cannot get the type of high or the quality of high that we used to get from what we produced with their current methodology and their current cultivation methods. It's just not possible. The plants, and what I forgot to hit on, they've taken the landrace strains and they've totally perverted it. Landraces are original pure strains, sativas, indicas, and that were originally crossed to make the hybrids of past, but they've taken just a few landraces and a few different hybrids that it took years to perfect. I mean, I don't know how well acquainted you are with the breeding method, but there's a back crossing method. It takes 5 generations to stabilize character in the cannabis plant. So to actually develop a strain that has a specific character in a specific way that your body uptakes it and utilizes it and sees it is extremely important in the breeding process and the knowledge behind it. Okay, I was instrumental as long as they would let me be. They blackballed me pretty quick because I told the truth too much, and the people that are paying the bills in the medical business, they're pharmaceutical people, folks. This isn't compassionate, wonderful people that want to defeat the pharmaceutical industry and find a natural medicine. These are motherfuckers that are trying to rob us blind. Okay, they're taking weed is costing them in the wildest stretch of your imagination to grow, cure, and package, especially their cure is so shoddy. That's why the shit's so strong and so hard on your lungs. The stuff we used to grow, once it was cured, you sat back and you took giant fucking hauls off of it in giant pools. You held it in your lungs and you enjoyed it. It was euphoric as hell. Not only the sensation you got from it, but everything about the sensation. Okay, even what you felt in your body. They've taken what has been a God-given gift and a natural medicine that was utilized for thousands of years, and in a few short years turned it into a commercial madness. There's no way in the world, unless they're going to go back to traditional growing, or at least allow recreational, or I don't even know what to call it. I mean, they have so many names and classifications. Why the fuck don't they just let us grow about a dozen plants each? And with what I can teach you at the Cannabis College, I can show you how to easily grow 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds dry weight per plant. And that will give you the end product that'll knock your fucking socks off. As I said in the last post, I've smoked shit from 35 years ago. I mentioned Santa Marta Gold from Colombia. Santa Marta Gold was so fucking good, it put you in a cannabis coma, man. I mean, this shit you literally hallucinated on, laid back and seen colors. Is there anything you're smoking from the dispensaries now that's like that? No. What you are seeing is stuff that makes you jittery, uncomfortable. You can tell that in some way it is perverted by its very nature, and because it doesn't act natural. Think about who's developing these strains. Think about who's growing them. These are big pharma people, man. They don't give a fuck about the quality. What they do give a fuck about is their beach house down in Daytona or down in Cocoa Beach. We have to stop this madness, and the only way we're going to stop it is through the legislature and being heard. We need to write, yell, stand on soapboxes on street corners. I don't fucking know what it's going to take. As you see, I'm trying extremely hard to make a dent, but only through your support, you reposting what I have to say, can my word possibly get out and penetrate the barrier that they've built between themselves and the God's honest truth. Please understand that this plant was meant to be grown in a specific manner. The product that comes from it is in fact a medicine. You misproportion that medicine. And that's what I was talking about, the breeding. They've bred all the minor cannabinoids down because they need to breed the minor cannabinoids down to bring the THC levels up. We're talking about percentages within the same plant. So it's a lot easier to have real high THC if you don't have any other cannabinoids. Now, if you look back in our history, one strain in particular that was one of the most euphoric and happiest strains I've ever smoked was Lamb's Bread Jamaican. And the reason it was is because it had a high level, like 20% CBD. It had about 2-3% CBG. And this shit made it beautiful. I mean, the experience, it was wonderful. And this is why we initially pushed towards this being a medicine. People like me have given 50 years plus of their fucking life trying to tell the truth. Would someone please open their ears? And if you do, share it with your neighbor. Okay? Check out my Linktree. Linktree Larry Nagel. It's all on platforms. Nothing but the truth. So help me God. Have a blessed day, people.